Jonathan, thanks for sitting down with us today.
Sure, sure.
What brings you to the Rock Hall?
Well, they were kind enough to put my book, a memoir, Don't Stop Believing, in the bookstore, and my friend Steve Smith sent me a picture of the book in the bookstore, and I said, well, on the way home, maybe I should do a book signing. I was so honored that it was included in the collection there. There's a lot of books out there, and that they had my memoir. I was very flattered, so I wanted to return the favor, come here, and I finally see this. I hadn't really seen it, and so it's good to come back.
What's your reaction to seeing your name on the wall and your memorabilia now on display?
It's pretty great. I know my piano's here somewhere, but it's a real honor for us. We waited 35 years, and well worth the wait. But I have to say, I'm very impressed with the way it's displayed. Very modern. I love the new hall here that they've got, and the fact that music is playing. I think it's great, and it continues to evolve. That's the one thing that I've noticed. I think I came in 84 or something, and I was like, oh well, it'll get there, And come to see it now, it's really gotten it. So it's great to see the improvements. It's really worth coming to check out for sure.
Well, you were inducted last year.
Yep.
Talk about that night, what it was to be surrounded by your peers, and what it means to you now to be a Hall of Famer.
It doesn't hit you till you get up there. I think you're ready for an exciting night, but when you stand on the stage, you realize it was the fans that put you there, and the fans are in the crowd, and they vote for you, and they voted us #1 in our group, in our class, 2017. That meant something, and so it's an honor, and I think it really accelerates the band's popularity. We saw a resurgence in our ticket sales. People wanted to come see Journey again because of all of the PR. There's so much that goes with the news that gets released about mentioning the name Journey that. We were blessed with a lot more ticket sales. I think the album sales increased. Everything helps the brand, when you end up in a situation. But the evening was magical. I actually stole a page out of it and began my memoir with that experience. So in my book, I trace back to that night at Barclays, and that's where my book begins. So. Thank you for that. I needed a good opening.
Well, speaking about the book,
yeah.
What was it like reliving your life through that process of writing it?
Well, I had been writing it for 10 years, and it started out a coming of age story. I had this terrible school fire I was in part of, and none of us survivors had ever been published. I'll be the first one. So I didn't know it was going to be part memoir, part music book. But then I realized 37 years of my life were in Journey. And who am I to not include that, So it became a coming of age story turned into a full-blown memoir. And I had to retrace the 35 years that I, in Journey, write all that, and then edit everything down, So, but very interesting to see the patterns and the themes that come out, the sort of prophetic things that happen in my life, people declaring stuff, and the Lord surrounding me with all these great people, and just waiting for my turn. When do I get a chance to look great, to do something great, And it was Journey, and my father had known something was coming, and he kept saying, just hang in there, So, I'm proof, it's possible, and you're not always who they say you are, and I hope it encourages and inspires people.
In looking back and documenting your life, was there anything you found that maybe you wish you could have changed about your journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. You make decisions sometimes, based on loyalty to certain things, and like in my second marriage, I felt like that should have ended, but I kept it going for the kids, you know. And I look back on it now, and I just thought, you know, it would have been painful, but it would have been probably more noble to do it that way, you know, than the way it happened. And maybe saved a lot of terrible, terrible times, you know. Anytime you try to pull a family apart, it's tough. So yeah, you see that. But the rest of it, I think, you know, I did what I did. I mean, I am who I am, and I'm pretty happy with it, you know. So, but it was fun. You learn to see exactly your path and how there was no accidents in life. You know, there's no accidents.
What do you think or hope readers will learn about you that maybe they didn't know from the music?
You know, I'm pretty quiet. I don't say a lot, but I write very cinematically, you know, and music and movies are imagery in my songs, and our songs is a big part of what I do. And you know, a lot of people don't know the stories behind some of these songs, and just how long it takes to get them right, you know. And you know, you struggle, you toil over them, you worry about them, you change lines till the very end. Sometimes the song doesn't come till the day you're going to record it, you know. It's unfinished, and you know. So I've learned to finish songs. You know, I try not to leave them laying around unfinished. It's not good. You know, it's better to get them done.
So back to the Rock Hall.
Yeah.
When fans go through and see your memorabilia and your name and up there with the greats,
right?
You know, what do you hope they will take away as your legacy?
That the journey mattered. The journey matters, and we left something behind that pretty great. And we were a soundtrack of people's lives. People grew up with us, and that was, you know, that was noted. That was noted in rock history. In the '80s, they wrote us off. You know, the critics all wrote us off and said we never be anything. And now I have to say to those people, we were doing the right music for us at the right time. We were always trying to be the best we could be, give the fans the best that we have, you know, and it was pretty darn good, and that's the proof, you know. So that sort of validates and silences all of the other critics that, you know, dismissed us. Check it out now. That's all.
I've read in the past where you said you wanted to write songs that everyday listener could relate to.
Right.
Where do you find the inspiration to deliver on that? Because you've done that.
Well, I think it's observation of human life. I look at every little situation, every emotion. I'm interested in people. I'm interested in the dynamics in a relationship, the psychology of a relationship, of you know, of a time, you know, and what's going on now, you know, like in the world. And as songwriters, we have to have our antennas up all the time, you know, and pick up what God, I guess, gives us, you know, and tells us. And for me, that's a big part of it, is observing and studying, constantly working with images and situations. You know, I wrote a song about writing my book, you know, and it's called The Songs You Leave Behind. It's on the iTunes CD I put out that has all the soundtrack stuff from the audiobook. I got to read my own audiobook. There's 3 extra chapters in there about the music that I wrote in Journey, little detailed things, you know. But I think it's important that, you know, we're great observers and we're constantly, you know, paying attention. You can't sleepwalk through life and be a songwriter.
So, speaking of songs, is there one, I mean, Don't Stop Believing, everybody understands that's near dear to your heart because of your father's inspiration. Right. Is there another song that you hold, that you've written, you hold especially dear?
Yeah, it would have to be Faithfully, because I wrote it by myself, all alone with, I guess, me and God. I don't know. It had to be God. Had to be the Holy Spirit. And I think it touched people in a way that, you know, love songs, you know, this one had something special because when fans came to hear it, they brought signs saying, "We're forever yours faithfully." And so it became their song. Our song became their song. And it's not too often that, you know, one guy in a band can put one out there like that. But I've read some interesting things where you would think, you know, one guy in the band brings this song, and Randy Meisner comes to mind, "Take It to the Limit." Who knew, you know, that, and that was his song, and that was a #1 hit for the Eagles. The only one went #1, and so sometimes some member of the band will come flying out with one, you know, and so that was the one for me. It really hit home, and we played every night. You know, I dedicate it to the troops some nights. It's a road song, but it goes deeper, you know, and that's what I love about it, that it connects all of us on the road. All 75, 80 people can all say, "Yeah, that's me. That's how I feel."
You guys are still going strong, but as you look back on your career to date, what's the one thing you treasure most?
Touching the hearts and souls of our fans, you know, that our music might be an inspiration for them and might help them out through a bad time or a good time or a marriage, or, you know, when they're getting married and disappointments, heartaches, that they would want to own our music, they would want to collect our music. You know, that to me is just special. You know, that I could say something or write something that would resonate with them. You know, and we all work in this business for approval. You know, and the massive approval of our fans has been a serious inspiration for me. Absolutely.
So you just finished touring, you know, 60 dates,
right.
All-time ticket sales. What's next? Are you a solo tour for your album, or back in the studio?
Well, I've just finished a worship album that I'm super excited about. It's called Unshaken, and I'm going to be releasing that next year, along with my Christmas album that will be coming out this Christmas, a Christian Christmas album. So I'm really proud of the music that I'm making now, you know, for worship. And I don't get to sing lead in Journey, but I sing for God now. So my music, you know, when I'm not doing Journey, I'm working in that area, and it's really cool to have another place to go and leave something behind for the Lord, you know, who's been so good to me. And of course, my wife is a preacher, minister, Pastor Paula White Cain, and so we're on the road, and I minister with her and I play with her, and I decided, you know, when I married her, that when I'm not on the road, I'm going to be ministering with her, and this is what you do, you know, when you have the blessings, you pay your blessings forward.
The tour you just wrapped up was with a nominee for Induction.
That's right.
When you saw the list, I'm sure that jumped out at you. What's your reaction to this year's nominees?
I knew that a little birdie told me they were getting in, you know, and I saw Phil Collin the other night, and I said, I think you guys are, finally, you'll experience what we experience, and it's phenomenal. So, yeah, no, it's really great. We played for 1 million people. How many bands get to say that? You know, they sold 1 million tickets, 10 different baseball stadiums, and all the big arenas. And, it was a real honor to see all, and we thank all our fans for coming out. I mean, it was overwhelming, you know, to see sellouts everywhere. I mean, it was really great.
Yeah. What's your reaction to all the nominees on the list this year?
I think they're all great. I mean, you know, besides Def Leppard, I'm a huge fan of a lot of this music, you know. There's probably, and you know, me being an older guy, I've always been a fan of the Zombies especially, and I hope, you know, I know it's kind of a long shot for them at this time, but wow, that music as a keyboard player, you paid attention. You pay attention to that. And when I heard She's Not There for the first time, I thought it was probably time of the seasons. I'm like, this is revolutionary rock and roll. When I heard those songs on the radio, it was like, who are these guys, you know? Beautiful, beautiful, phenomenal music. And it's just they don't get played like they used to, you know? And so I'd have to show people, hey, check out the Zombies. And they're like, you know, today kids are different, you know? So hopefully, you know, their fans will vote for them, you know? Huge fan of John Prine's. Got to see him perform solo at the Troubadour so many nights in the 70s, you know. The Cure, love those guys. Mickey Curry played drums with those guys. Stevie Nicks, Todd Rundgren, huge fan of Todd's. I was on the same label with Todd, Bearsville. So we were label mates, you know. And the guy that owned the label gave me the song Why Can't We Be Friends? And he said, John, can you edit this down to a single? Todd doesn't want to do it. So he gave me a copy of the tape. I took my reel-to-reel home and I edited him a 3.5-minute version of Why Can't We Be Friends? And that's what they used. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I got to do that little thing. And we recorded in the same studio at Bearsville. You know, I did my first album there where Todd was. But I never got to meet him. So kind of weird. Yeah. But Wizard of True Star, one of my favorite records. You know, I mean, it's a genius. Yeah. Got to get that again.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you came in town last night.
Yep.
I think I know what you did for at least an hour or two last night, and that was sit down in front of the TV and watch The Voice.
Oh my, yeah. You know what happened? I got into my room and she had already sung it.
Oh,
and they were just, you know, I was there for the performance. And so I had to listen to all their blah, 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 blah. You weren't angry enough, and you got to get your heart broken. And I was like, you know. And they cut out the part that said, our teams are full, we can't take you. They edited that out. So it made it look like everybody was like, what? You know. So, and then they had a return. But it's hard because, you know, when you're a rock star's daughter, you know, they're going to take that housewife that has 2 kids and she'll get to go on. You know, they're not going to promote that necessarily. But I think it was a great experience for Madison. And, you know, she had this stage fright thing. And I think she did it more or less to just blow that away, you know, and just said, I can do this. And that night, I was so proud of her. I said, my God, that was great, you know, and I think we're going to try to come with a new CD. She has these amazing songs, and she's been sitting on them, and it's time. And this is Madison's time. Yeah. I'll tell you what, she is one talented, way farther down the road when I was 25. And if you hear this music, you'll go, whoa. I mean, it's right there with Lady Gaga, Janet Jackson. I mean, she's got it all. It's a really great singer. Yeah. And her heart for, I mean, she's a mini me when it comes to songwriting. You know, she loves to write and loves to create. I built a recording studio in Nashville, Addiction Sound, and that's where, you know, she created most of it. And it's still there for her, you know, and I'm going to be going back in with her and writing some more, for sure. So I'm very proud of her, and you know, I think everybody should check out what she did. It was a tough song. And she, you know, you don't get to pick your songs, so she's not an angry girl. She doesn't have any anger in her. She's very, you know, soulful, and I think she sang it from a place of power. You know, you ought to know. It wasn't angry, and she doesn't do all that, you know, the sort of histrionics that go with all that, you know. So she sang it classy, and that's fine. So good for her. And people will hear about it. She's definitely going to make some noise.
Okay, go ahead. Last question. I have to ask this one. Your former bandmate, you know, Steve Perry, released a new album. Have you heard it?
Yeah. I think it's really emotional. It's cool. It's his first one, you know. I think there's more to come. There's more to come from him, and good for him. He should be singing, and it's undeniably Steve, you know. So I wish him all the best with it, and congratulations.